Right, guys, welcome back to the channel and to the 40K podcast. I believe this is episode 3, James, or 4?
Episode 3.
Way.
Episode 3. Yes, episode 3.
Way. So, of course, if you haven't listened to the other episodes, please go and check them out. And, of course, I am once again joined by my good friend, Mr. James Ellis.
I'm back again.
Again?
I'm here.
I can't get rid of you.
No, I'm not. What I was going to say is really unpleasant, but I'm not going to. It's about me. Makes no sense.
So, a fair bit's changed. I think we discussed the AdMech stuff last time, didn't we? And the shadow.
Yeah, the new model. Yeah, the model and the new. But I think that's about as far as we got, really, with the sort of what was coming. And I think it's been, again, a very interesting time in 40K with the new books, and they seem to be forming. They seem to be carrying on down this line of name generators,
custom septs and stuff.
Custom septs, but it's weird. Again, the Imperial side of it seems to get the lion's share. I think Tau did fairly well.
But, honestly, I think Tau did very, very well, and I'm excited to actually go and play my Tau again.
I think it's another one of those. What I find slightly odd is they seem to be buffing up a lot of the already powerful septs, Genestealer Cult.
Whoa. Let's stop there. Genestealer Cult.
Well, not Genestealer Cult, there's everything, but the Four-Armed God, Four-Armed Emperor one, they got some very good psychic ability and stratagems. So they seem to be picking the sort of the most some of the most powerful bits and then upping them a little bit more, which I find a little bit odd. I think, Genestealer Cult actually got the
worst end of the stick. Absolutely. And do you know what? They weren't in an amazing place anyway. They're not in a bad place.
They were really struggling, yeah.
But they certainly weren't Grey Knights prior to Psychic Awakening bad.
No. And I was kind of surprised. I thought they'd get something pretty good out of it. It's quite funny though, because again, I've seen a lot of reviews on this through the internet. Like everybody's done reviews so far, and a lot of them are saying, "Oh yeah, well the different septs, they're not. You're always going to take Tau sept. You're always going to." And it just makes me hark back to when they did it with the Craftworlds.
Yeah.
And everybody was saying, "No, why would you take this? You're always going to take a Latok. You're always going to take a Latok all day long, and you just don't see a Latok now." So I do think, given some time...
The thing with the custom traits is you're picking 2, right? And depending on what units you put in your army depends on which ones. For example, if you love broadsides, I love broadsides with missiles and ATS, right? I would absolutely take the trait to move a battlesuit and don't suffer the penalty to heavy weapons, and then increase the AP on all missiles by 1. Add an ATS on that as well, and suddenly you've got broadsides that are moving without penalty with -3 high yield missile pods and -2 smart missile systems that don't need line of sight and ignore cover.
And also the various stratagems to help buff marker lights.
Yeah.
So you can get 5 marker lights on.
It's so much easier because you've got uplink marker, and then you've got the new one which is counted as 1 more than what it is.
Yep. So there's a number of ways to do that now. I think it's good. And also, let's not forget the ability for Tau Sept now to take up to 6 commanders.
No.
Is it not Tau?
It's the Farsight Enclaves
only. Oh, it's the
only.
Farsight Enclave one, yes. But that's still 6 commanders, potentially.
Yeah, but that's because they can't take ethereals.
I've heard a lot of people talking about there's still the potential for sort of dropping in and doing a lot of damage with commanders early on.
You can. The issue is, though, right, you don't really want Fireblades and Fire Warriors in a Farsight Enclave list, but you are forced into taking them.
As the tax.
Because of the tax.
Yeah.
The issue was that you could never take more than 3 detachments because you had to have a Fireblade and a Commander, and they were your only 2 HQ choices. Because Farsight still had the Commander keyword, therefore you couldn't put a Commander and Farsight and a Fireblade in the same detachment. So the fact that they've done that is purely as fluff for Farsight because they don't have ethereals.
So you're probably not likely competitively to see that unless someone does work something out with it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at running a Farsight Vanguard with Crisis Bodyguards or Crisis Battlesuits in it to get access to some of them really cool new stratagems, and then of course you stick 2 commanders in.
Do you think you might see there's the potential to see the odd Storm Surge here and there now with their ability to chuck out mortal wounds?
Yeah,
and to max out them, because I was watching it was B-Bone talking about earlier. There's the potential to get 12 mortal wounds from
that's massive.
Which I think might be interesting.
It's absolutely massive. And it's like, oh, cool. You bring in your knights. Okay, there's half of its wounds gone.
Yeah, just on mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think Tau look interesting. I think you might see a few different builds now. And again, some of the stratagems they put in help upgrade units you're not often likely to see, like Vespid, Kroot.
See, I don't understand.
You're still not like to see them, but
I don't understand the lack of love for Vespids, because I think Vespids are bloody good.
They got a lot of shots, haven't they?
Yes, and a decent strength and good AP.
Yeah, so and they're not. Are they? They're not expensive, are they? I don't know much about Vespids. So why aren't people using them as horde clearers? Like people use Swooping Hawks. I know Swooping Hawks got the bombs as well, but they're designed to sort of high rate of fire to sort of help thin out hordes.
One of the guys that appears on the channel quite often from up here, Stephen, when he had his Tau, he once brought about 80 Kroot and 30 Vespids to a battle with me Deathwatch. And honestly, the Vespids were horrendous. They were just so, like, bad news for me. So I'm not sure.
Just the volume of fire and the AP.
Oh, yeah. As a Marine player, for Deathwatch, obviously, you know, even intercessors and stuff on 2 wounds were getting chewed through really, really quickly. So I don't understand why people don't love Vespids more.
I think part of it's probably to do with the old model syndrome.
That is a lot to do with it. Like, I would absolutely run Fire Warriors with some form of like 3D printed jetpack kit on them instead, just because the Vespid models are horrendous. And
there's some good 3D printers guys out there now. I got some stuff done recently for my. So I bought some Sanguinary Guard off eBay that didn't come in any jump packs, and I got someone to do them for me, and they are awesome.
Yeah.
It's a smashing job.
One thing I do want to address, right, and this was obvious when me and Liam went through the review for the Greater Good, right, is this whole reroll hit rolls shenanigans. So, Calgar and Bobby G and a lot of the other things such as Abaddon, Call, you can re-roll hit rolls, okay?
Yes.
Dante, Gabriel Seth, Azrael, Kaldor Drago, you can re-roll failed hit rolls.
Yep.
And the new Chapter Master strat is re-roll hit rolls, not failed hit rolls.
Which Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Grey Knights don't have access to?
Nope, because they've got fixed Chapter Masters.
Yep.
It's also the same with the Tau. So, in the Farsight Enclave section, it relists the rules for Master of War, right? And Kauyon states you can re-roll the hit roll, but it specifically states Farsight Enclaves because it's in that part of the book, right? However, when you look at all the commanders' data sheets, for Master of War it says see Codex Tau. When you see Codex Tau, Kauyon and the FAQ both say reroll failed hit rolls.
I don't know.
Now, I have raised this with the FAQ team, and I passed this on to my guy who lets me know about any previews that are coming to the channel.
Yeah.
And I passed this on. Now, obviously, the FAQ email gives you a standardised response. That's all I've had. But I think they need to make it consistent throughout the whole game. What is wrong with them releasing the FAQ and going, in all instances that state reroll failed hit rolls, change this to reroll the hit roll. This applies to the following data sheets. Commander Dante, Codex Blood Angels. Azrael, Codex Dark Angels. What's to stop them doing that? That's not a big update.
No, but I think then you'd have to do it for things like Archons, and you'd have to do it for because I think
no, because Archons is only reroll hit rolls of a
once,
one.
yeah.
There's not that many instances that give you reroll
Not
all
selling.
hits.
No, that's true, and sort of Eldari don't have anything. But I think then if you're getting down that certainly with Tau with the volume of shots that a lot of their stuff put out. I don't. No, I'm not saying it would be broken to do that, but then I think you need to start looking at things that were taken away from other things. So I'm going to go back with Psychic for Eldari. That then I think you're at the stage then where Farseer Psychic ability should affect all Eldari again, so that the Doom would affect bikes from Reaver bikes or whatever. Drukhari, Harlequins, whatever. I think you're at that stage where you're back at putting that back in the mix, because I think with you've seen how and I would say damaging it is for the game for Marines to be able to re-roll everything they do, and I think you'd be looking at something very similar with Tau, because of again you're chucking out so much firepower normally. And to be able to re-roll everything.
But
I'm not wounds.
I have this issue with Marines, though, because they have very, very easy access to re-roll wounds and re-roll hits, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Compared to other factions. I mean,
for
Eldar, you get Guide, and you've got Autarchs for re-roll hit rolls of a 1, and then to re-roll any wounds, you need Doom.
So the thing I would say with Craft, with Eldar is you do guide is useful, but you don't need it anymore. Expert crafters is ridiculous. So I now run small units of Dark Reapers.
Yeah.
So I run units of 3. So essentially, I'm always going to reroll 1 hit, 1 wound of everything. My Crimson Hunter Exarchs are all hitting on 2s. Reroll 1 hit, 1 wound. They don't miss. They just don't miss. So I think you kind of mitigate that slightly for craft wells with that ability. Now, let's go to the other extreme. Harlequins have no ability to re-roll shooting.
No.
And it screws them.
And it costs CP to re-roll hit rolls in combat.
With the great, because you can take a Treat Master and you're re-rolling all your wounds. 2 CP for the Great Harlequin.
It's not worth it.
It's not currently. Now, like we said, I think we've said this in the last one, to be honest. If the Great Harlequin was re-roll hits and wounds in shooting or in all phases, it will be golden. It'll bring them up to that ability with Space Marines. But you'd still have to set it up because the bikes are always going to be too far ahead.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm hoping, and this probably would be a bit OP, is that one of the custom mask traits you're going to get will be for the ability for you to move a transport and then get your guys out and for them to move and a charge.
The Soaring Spike kind of already have that, but I think that's limited to a Warlord trait, isn't it?
It's limited to it's not a Warlord trait.
It's a Warlord trait or a relic.
And then there's a relic that I think it's a relic that it blows up. Oh, you don't take any injury, but I think also you can get out. I can't remember. I have to check my book in a minute. I don't normally use that one. I normally use the CP farming one. Warlord trade, that is. So I tend to use that, and the relics I normally use for Harlequins are either take a Dreaming Shadow, Supreme Command, Vanguard, sorry, and stick Curtain Fall on one of the guys, or I take Fascio's Talon or something like that for one of the other guys. But yeah, I think you've got certain races that are going to that really need the bump up with those sort of abilities.
But I mean, have a look at Orcs.
Yeah.
Where's your rerolls with Orcs?
God, do you imagine how horrific it would be to play Orcs with rerolls?
Don't let me wrong, right? They don't need it, especially for combat with boys, right? But the fact that it's very easy to get the boys to hit on 2s and the weight of attacks you get mitigates that, which is good.
But that's where you can tell they thought about it a bit better. Whereas everyone else, they've done the Marine Codex, they've done all the different supplements, and they knew what they were doing wrong. They have openly admitted that they knew Iron Hands was going to be ridiculous, but they just wanted to see what it was like. And then it was ridiculous. And they didn't need those supplements. And I know they give flavour to the other chapters, but they didn't need it.
No.
And then what they've done is they've buffed everything again with all the Psychic Awakening.
Doctrines alone was enough. And when they changed the chapter traits up slightly in the Space Marine Codex, that was fine.
Yes.
Cool. Leave it at that. They don't need an extra thing in, like, a special doctrine. Like, when I read the Dark Angel one, I thought, no, an extra 6 inches, whatever. But my God, it's broken to hell. Like,
yeah, and you've not really seen people using it yet. Realistically, you've not seen people really pushing it so much.
No.
Like, the Dark Angels haven't really appeared anywhere in the rankings at the moment.
But if you consider,
they will.
I mean, it's 3 inches to rapid or assault weapons, I think, and 6 inches to heavy and assault weapons. Sorry, heavy and rapid fire weapons. That's 42-inch range Stalker bolt rifles.
Everyone's taking Stalker bolt rifles.
That's 15-inch range heavy flamers with 30-inch range storm cannons on your Leviathans.
Yeah, and Leviathans are already broken. I mean, all right, Leviathans you can mitigate with range until you start adding that into the equation. Then it makes a Dark Angel Leviathans a bit unpleasant. I think you look at LVO and look at the fact that entire group of people, Siegler and all of those, the rest of his entire club that went, took exactly the same list and all did reasonably well.
Yeah.
And obviously he won it. And he did that as this is how stupid Marines are now, you need to sort it out. Like, they're ridiculous. And it was half the places of the top 8 to 10 were Marines.
Yep.
And you saw Orcs in there, and you saw Eldari with a good account of themselves in there, which is good. But you saw far too many Marines. And I'm not saying Marines in that, you saw Dark Angels, you saw Blood Angels, you saw Space Wolves. No,
you saw Iron Hands.
Iron Hands, and I think there was Raven Guard, I think, possibly as well. And you've got guys like Nick Nanavati that took White Scars that didn't do very well. Manny Chima's list did well, but even that, and everyone thought that was a really interesting and cool list because it was just artillery, and they thought people were going to struggle with it, and it still got done because Marines are Marines.
Yep.
And with Marines, essentially, especially if it's a mirror matchup Marines, it's who goes first, and that is boring as hell.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where it needs. And it'll be interesting. I've not bought anything now for anything until they do the March FAQ and updates, because Marines, something big has got to be coming for them. And I hope they don't go stupid and go like they tend to, knee-jerk reaction and just nerf them into oblivion, because Marines did need something. So I'm 100% Chaplain Dreads will be legends.
Especially because you can't buy the model anymore.
Because you can't buy the model anymore.
On that subject as well, Forge World or GW have released a statement saying that the Forge World indexes are getting updated, and the Games Workshop are taking over the rules for them.
I didn't hear that they were doing the rules. I knew their books had been updated. Now that's going to be pretty cool. Things like Red Scorpions, Minotaurs.
Because they might actually get chapter traits now.
Yes.
What it's not good for is a lot of people who have models that are no longer produced because the molds are broken, i.e. Chaplain Dreads. Like, don't legend the Chaplain Dread. Rewrite these rules to make them go, do I want this guy or would I take this one instead? I don't know. Let's try this one. That's where things should stand. It's like a Leviathan's what, 330 points or something?
Mm.
Why would you never take one?
Yeah.
It's too good and too point efficient.
The thing is, even if it was more expensive, you're still going to take it as Iron Hands. It realistically doesn't matter how expensive it is unless it's totally nerfing what you can take elsewhere completely.
I would fix the Leviathan, and I think I said this before. Don't let it take duplicate arms.
It has to have one combat or one 0 to 1 of one arm.
Yeah. Or either make it have two different weapons, which is still strong because you can take a Grav Flux Bombard or the Melter Lance and a Storm Cannon.
I like the Grav Flux Bombard as well.
Well, exactly. It's still good. Or just say that, like, on one arm it can take the Melter Lance, the Grav Flux Bombard, or the Storm Cannon Ray. In the other hand, it can take the Claw, the Fist, or the Drill.
Yeah.
Done.
And the thing is, in fairness, that like Tank from Hellstorm, he was taking his with a combat because he wanted it to be able to punch its way out of trouble.
Yeah.
So some people are doing it already, and still, being effective.
Because people have come wise to the dual Storm Cannon. Lock it in combat, it can't do anything. It's 300 points that then has to retreat and isn't shooting you. Your opponent then has to deal with whatever you locked it down with before it even has a chance to then shoot the Leviathan next turn.
Yeah. I think what I do like about the whole Marine thing, and it sounds a bit odd, is the fact that people are coming up with different lists. Like Siegler's list for his one, it was a mid-board presence list. It was, I'm going to sit in the middle of the board, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And it was really cool because it forced people to make silly mistakes because they either chuck things in piecemeal and they died, or they seemed to chuck things in one go and they still died.
What was in his list?
It was a lot of infantry, 3 chap dreads. I can't remember. He had no artillery. No artillery. No
and what chapter was he playing?
Iron Hands.
Wow.
So basically and there was Leviathan. So the Leviathan everything would move up the board, or he'd sit back for ages and hide if it was a shooty army, and he'd just sit back and then he'd just push out later on when the time was right. And there was times when he'd left it to turns 3 and 4, and then would suddenly come out like he was playing Eldar. And it was, oh God, who's the really good Eldar player? He was taking Shining Spears and Skyweavers. I forgot his name now. Like probably one of the best Eldar players in the world. And he was doing really well. And he basically forced me into making a mistake and just bringing out 1 or 2 units rather than like. And if he'd rushed him in turn 1 with 2 units of Shining Spears, 3 units of Skyweavers, and just punched into him, he would have done it. And so what happens is that the Leviathan comes forward, and you basically put all the wounds onto nearby intercessors. Mm-hmm. So the Leviathan just doesn't die. It's healed every turn. When it does take damage, it's still being healed every turn. The Chaplain Dreadnoughts are doing what they do, which is not being able to be targeted because they're characters, and twin las cannons popping off things here and there. And then you've got all the Iron Hands infantry with Stalker Bolt rifles, which is just doing ridiculous damage when they're getting through and volume of fire. So when you push forward and you just hold that central area, and it's just ridiculous. The Leviathan never dies. If you come anywhere within it, you die. Anywhere within range, you can't get near it because it's screened all the time.
Yeah.
So it was a different Iron Hands list than what you were saying with triple Thunderfire cannons. All right, yeah, the chap dreads were still there. The Leviathan was still there, but it was just pure. It seemed to be a lot more infantry based, which I think is a different way to play. So you are sort of getting different. Like you had Manny's list, Nick Navati's White Scars list. People are sort of still looking for different things to take, which is good. But just they do still need to be brought to heel a little bit. I think Space Marines, but just not stupidly. Not stupidly.
The thing I don't like about the Iron Hands, right, is they get like essentially 5 or 6 chapter traits. So
yeah, they got ridiculous.
They get the feel no pain, right? Yeah. Vehicles double the wounds, when looking at the damage chart.
Yeah.
The reroll ones if they stay still in the Devastator Doctrine.
Which is when they don't even need that because you've got a chapter master.
Well, exactly.
So yeah, I think I kind of get that the vehicles thing would have been probably the better one because they are supposed to be a more vehicle-based, dreadnought-based.
And can they move and fire without penalty as well?
I think they can.
Yeah. So there's like 5 or 6,
Yeah,
4
they
or
got
5
the
things there that. And what do Blood Angels get? +1 to charge, +1 to wound. Oh, and by the way, have an extra attack on turn 3.
Which I hate that. I hate that turn thing where you have to do it's turn 3 because you either have to hold out
or just ignore it.
Or just ignore it. And I think the best way to be honest, I think the best way to play Blood Angels realistically is ignore the turn 3 thing.
Yeah.
If you happen to get to turn 3 and you've got some stuff, yeah, all right, maybe you'll hold a unit of Sanguinary Guard back just for that turn 3 hard
That's
impact.
my biggest issue with the Blood Angels is I'm playing normal Marines. I'm not playing normal Marines. I'm still playing Blood Angels, but
you're playing Blood Angels without the ability to re-roll everything.
Well, but then the fact that if I'm not getting me doctrine, me special ability until turn 3, there is stratagems to turn back the doctrines. Why can't the Blood Angels have one to turn it forward once per game?
Or even just That's a 2 CP stratagem for pick one unit, count this unit as being immediately in turn 3.
Like combat, like the Power from Pain one for Drukhari.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Just make it 2 CP. Don't make it cheap. Like, don't make it one of the stupid. Oh, I've done it for 1 CP. No, do it for 2 CP.
That sounded so chavvy.
But what annoys? It's like I do wonder whether Chapter Master needs to go up by CP.
It should, because it's down to 2. And do you know what else knocks me as well? How come Space Marines can take 2 more relics for 2 CP? Yeah, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Grey Knights have to pay 3 CP.
And also, how comes so many of the Space Marines can get extra Warlord traits?
Yeah. Oh, and your extra Warlord trait's not enough. Oh, by the way, make this a Master Litany guy as well.
Yeah. And, all right. Space Blood Angels kind of have. Well,
they've got Astaroth.
Their guys can't do that, can they?
No.
Oh, can we not?
No, we've got Astaroth who can chant to, but none of the stuff that was in Faith and Fury?
Yeah.
We can't use any of that.
Which seems a bit daft.
It's stupid.
Because then you're making everything low tier.
Exactly. Right. Let's end that whole conversation there.
The rage of Space Marines.
That is enough about competitive play and the state of the game.
Yes.
Let's talk about what's coming up in the world of 40k. So, a few different places have been saying that the reveal that is coming at Adepticon is going to be the biggest and best one yet.
When is Adepticon? I can never remember. It's not long. Yes, because then you have the big FAQ after that, don't you? Normally straight after.
Well, it normally does, but then they got sick of people whinging, it's March, where's the FAQ? And they're like, nope, it's April. It's April.
Screw you all.
I hope that the fact of everything that's happened at the LVO and everything that is no doubt going to be repeated at Adepticon will be fixed in the FAQ. That's all I will say on that. But the reveals is what I'm interested in.
Yes,
now,
I've not really heard anything about potential reveals, so you are going to be shedding some light to me, I hope.
Well, I don't know. Other than the fact that Adepticon advertised that and GW said that, I don't know anything else. However, there is still that pixelated image of the bikes, the speeder, and what looks like a Baal repulsor that have been floating around the internet for a while. And a lot of people are saying it's like a 2-seated bike.
Yeah, I see. There's a lot of the rumour mill is going mad about the bikes are coming. And there's other things to back.
I was surprised that these weren't revealed at the LVO. But if they revealed them at the LVO, that would mean that they possibly wouldn't have anything for Adepticon.
Yeah, but you know what makes me think? Right, they've just redone the Space Marine Codex.
Why are they now adding more units again?
Why are they unless it's 9th, unless it's going to be odd. a big thing,
I don't
and
think
then
there
they redo
will
all the
be.
codex.
I don't think there will be a full 9th edition per se. I think we'll get an 8.5 rulebook, kind of like what Heresy did.
Yes, I think you're probably right.
That's what I think we'll get.
But I would be annoyed if I was a Space Marine player and they then redid all the redid the codexes again.
There's no reason to do it.
It's infuriating. You're bringing out.
In fact, I'll tell you what.
Units.
There is a reason to do it, right? Because they released the new Space Marine book, then they released all the supplements to go alongside that. But then, in addition to what was in the Space Marine book, you then had everything that's in Faith and Fury. Why was that stuff even put in Faith and Fury and not in the Space Marine Codex?
It's an extra book, isn't it? It's more money.
So now,
I'm so
a Space Marine player needs the Space Marine Codex, your supplement Codex, and you need Faith and Fury.
Yep.
And
Chapter
look.
Probably going to need chapter approved as well. FAQs.
He's all these nice new Primaris models. By the way, you need another book.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting, and the thing is, with everything that's coming out as quick as it is, I genuinely don't know where they're going to go. Like you can never rule anything out. Like, oh yeah, well, we're going straight to 10th edition. Like what? Like no. But they're just changing so far, and it's funny because everybody used to moan bitterly how slow Games Workshop were for doing any form of changes, any form of FAQs. And in fairness to them, they have been well on it. And I'm not saying they've made the right call a lot of the time, but they have been on it with the changes. And yeah, like you said, everybody's
they've
now
gone from one extreme to the other. That's the issue with it.
Yes. Like, I don't play AOS. I probably will be having to see the new High Elf models. But what are the changes like there? Are they more gradual? They seem to.
There's power creep with the battle tomes, but there's no major rules changes. Second edition didn't really change much over first edition. It added the endless spells. It changed the range in which you can deny. It changed the generic smite spell or arcane bolt, so that it was just one mortal wound instead of D3. Unless you roll a 10 or more, it becomes D3. That was across the board. Other things that they changed, instead of just rolling off and whoever wins the roll off takes priority, what they said is if you roll a tie, because you would normally have to re-roll, whoever went first in the previous battle round counts as winning a tie. Beyond that, Sigmar is very fluid, I feel. Yes, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of bloat in it. But what they did very well in Sigmar was the gaming manual. So you had the core rulebook, which had the rules in, and a set of missions. You had the General's Handbook, which then had your points in, your missions, and your Grand Allegiance abilities, right? You then had Malign Sorcery, which was your campaign book, essentially, and that had all your relics in that you could take from the different realms. Again, all 3 books had different missions in. People were carrying 3 books, right?
Yeah.
They released the small A5 paperback gaming manual. Guess what's in that?
I don't know what.
All the meat and potatoes from those 3 books. None of the fluff. None of the crap. Every single page in that book is useful.
Yes. Why is? I think we've spoken about it before, because you've obviously got the Games Workshop AOS army builder, but essentially the battle scribe of AOS on that's supposedly pretty good. I've heard.
War Scroll Builder, which is on their website, is actually pretty decent.
And yet they cannot do it for 40k.
Nope.
And you look at what seems to be a reasonable set of rules changes. Things, all right, probably are still broken here and there, but it seems to be overall a much better system.
It is, and honestly, right, at the minute, I am enjoying AOS more than 40k. I went to the Age of Sigmar tournament at the weekend, right? I'm not going to go over it in massive detail here, but honestly, the games were so much more fun, and don't get me wrong, at the start of turn 3, in my first 2 games, when I knew I was going first, my opponents conceded, there's nothing they could do. It is a shame that the games can be decided that quick, but it's so much more tactical. It's much more involved with placement of models.
Yeah.
And, there's always something to go for in Age of Sigmar. It's so much more enjoyable to play for me at the moment.
A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people in my club have gone, although they still play 40k, have gone more over to AOS.
Yeah.
Because it's more chilled. And it sounds like with AOS there's kind of one thing to really sort out, which is that potential to be totally destroyed if you don't go first. So that's like the one thing that maybe needs to be addressed somehow.
The thing with Sigmar is there's not very much shooting compared to 40k.
Yes.
40k is a shooting game. Sigmar, in my opinion, is a combat game.
Yeah.
And
yes,
that's
and it kind of should be, really, if you're talking about sort of that fantasy element of swords and shields and that sort of side. All right, I know you've got archers and stuff like that, but it generally in that era, as it were, in the medieval times, it would boil down to that close combat element would be how
absolutely
a battle was won, generally.
But why can't they try and put more emphasis on 40k instead of just constantly shunting out combat?
Or killing the combat phase, which is okay, that's not fair. Combat has come in slightly more as it's gone on. There are certain elements of combat that do better, and then you've got, and it's something that Psychic Awakening has brought in, is that ability to make it easier for units to get closer for combat and other various things, and to be able to drop in. Like Scions have the ability now to sort of jump out of vehicles and do a lot more damage.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see a lot more Scions in Guard armies now. A lot more now. I think they're going to be really, really popular.
Yeah.
And things they do like, and where let's give them credit where credit's due. The little things they've done to improve things like tank cases. I think that's a really nice little thing, and it's not. You can't have like 17 of them. The max you can have is 2, and you're going to lose a warlord trait for one of those.
But didn't they do the same for the Crimson Hunters?
What do you mean?
In their Psychic Awakening, the Crimson Hunter could take. Well, it was aspects, wasn't it? And obviously,
yes, all the aspects can take a shrine, and you can pay a CP to take a second ability. Now, the one thing I need to double check, because I've seen some people take a random. Or pick a second one of their choosing, and I've got to reread the wording, because I thought you could change it from, say, Crimson Hunter 1 is reroll 1s to any others. A lot of people either give it an invuln or the heavy weapons don't count when you move. So
what you can do is you can give up whatever your normal ability is and take a different one, or you can pay a CP and take one in addition.
Right, so you can keep but so I've seen people change out both of them, and I'm not sure you can do that.
What do you mean both of them? It only has one ability.
Well, yeah, but you can give it a second one.
Yeah, so what you do is you choose one. Oh, right, no, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I thought you had
I know.
And then taking a 5-up invuln as well. And I don't think you can do that.
No.
I think you have to take the original one and then for a CP, or actually I thought it was worded, you can swap it out, but the CP you pay gives you the original one back, essentially. So it isn't that ability. I might be wrong. I need to recheck the wording on that one.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, that'll be rude. If you give him a 5-up invuln and they're hitting on 2s, that's ridiculous. I'll pay 3 CP for that. And in fairness, I've not really seen any of the top players do that, so I think that probably sort of lends itself to tell you the answer to that question. Fairly good. But yeah, for that ability for like units to be able to change one key ability, as we said before, hasn't actually, the points rises in Crimson Hunter Exarchs hasn't made a blind bit of difference.
Nope. No.
Like, you're always going to take them all day long. I mean, Hemlocks now, where you see loads and loads of Hemlocks. You don't really see Hemlocks at all now.
Nope. Anyway, the reveals at Adepticon. What else do you think there is going to be? And let's look at what's already been shown. We know that we're getting the biggest, the baddest, the most gruesome Makari, the Standard Bearer.
Yes.
So we know he's coming in, of course.
I'm looking forward to seeing that model. I'm not an Orc fan, but I am looking forward to seeing that model. I think the glimpses you've got of it, I think it's going to look awesome.
Well, Lucy has been absolutely hammering through her orcs this last 2 weeks, right?
Let's get her ready.
Right, so she's done 3 Death Copters, a Death Dread, she's done 10 boys, 10 Shooter boys, 10 Storm boys, a truck, she's on with a War Boss and a Battle Wagon.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I've painted?
Well, I don't. I've still got so much to do. I've been so lazy recently. I'm not even going to go there.
I've done 6 Varangard in over a month.
Well, like we said earlier, there are times where you just need to have a break from it and then just get yourself back in. I've wasted
No,
an entire day.
what I mean is it took me that long to paint because it was so detailed. And she's just literally smashed through all of that. I mean, I'm painting bases as we're recording this for her. So
you're doing half the work for her. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, but she paints a lot of my models, so I can't really say no.
It's a team effort.
Exactly. But yeah, she's absolutely smashing through the orcs. So come Saga of the Beast, she's actually going to have a pretty, I wouldn't say a massive orc collection, but hopefully she'll get some looters painted up as well, and a couple of other bits and pieces by the time that comes out. So she can at least run a fun army without necessarily having a stomper in a 2,000-point army. Yes,
and I think orcs are going to be a very interesting one again, because I think that
orcs aren't in a bad place.
No, this is what concerns me.
They're not great, but they're not bad.
Yeah, and I think so. Judging what's going to happen, you're going to get custom orc clans.
Yep.
You're going to get stratagems that will improve various units.
Units that you don't take, right? So you'll probably see a stratagem for commandos.
Yep. There'll be a stratagem for Death Dreads.
Flash Gates.
Yep.
We'll probably all see. And I wouldn't be surprised at 1 or 2 more grots.
Yep.
I wish to God they would actually use squig units, though.
Yeah,
like,
I remember.
Just buy a box of squig hoppers from me OS and just use them.
Yeah.
Like... You know what I might do actually, right? I might actually go and buy some squigs and paint them up in the same bright green of Lucy's grots and just go, by the way, these are your grots now.
I think they look cool. You just do it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But on the flip side of that, Space Wolves, because Saga of the Beast, let's face it, it's very, very likely to be Space Wolves. Now, are they going to Primaris a Space Wolf character? Probably.
Yeah. But would this be the first of the books that's had... Well, no, because you had Drazar and you had...
yeah. Now, I think we will get a box set for this.
Do you think that what might... See, I was wondering whether actually for the big release of Adepticon would be a second box set. So, and it would be that. Would be a box set, double model maybe.
Oh, I absolutely think it will be. And I would not be surprised if one of the new Primaris units is in that box.
Yes, that would make sense.
But which...
I think Bikes
Space Wolf character?
The rumours I've heard that is it's going to be Ragnar.
It would make sense to be Ragnar, but I've got a sinking feeling that it's not.
Do you think they're going to do a generic?
I really hope they don't, but I think they're going to.
Well, they've done it with everybody else essentially, except for Mephiston, obviously. Yeah, it's been. Why wasn't it a Lysander? You
got Torgaron instead of Lysander. You got Agrax Adjutorn instead of Vulcan Heston.
Yeah.
You got Shrike. You got
yes, you did get Shrike.
Ferris, what's his face? But can you tell me the Iron Hands chapter master name?
No clue.
That's because they don't have one.
I never would have heard of them anyway until now. So I think you may be. I heard it was supposed to be Ragnar. I'd heard, but that was a rumor from a long, long way away.
Who's the guy that's on the sleigh again? I can't remember.
Logan. He's supposed to die.
So
that's what I heard. He failed coming through the Rubicon, which would be really sad. I mean, for such a rock hard person to die during that would be such a crap death. And then Ragnar was supposed to take over.
Hey, I wanted Dante to die.
Yeah, but I like Space Wars more, so I wouldn't want either of them to die.
No,
At least if he's going to die, he's got to die fighting.
oh yeah, I want Dante to die, like sacrifice himself or something.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I'm cool with Mephiston getting a new model. It had to always be Mephiston or Dante. I'm annoyed they haven't done anything with Dante, and I wish
I
they
think
had killed him.
the problem with doing a Dante model is you have to give it a jump pack, and I know they've got the units for it, but that'll be the first time they do a jump pack character in Primaris.
Yeah.
So I think that's coming down the lines. I think, yeah,
no, it's
sooner
not.
or later.
They did Shrike.
Oh, apologies. Of course they did. Yes, he was Primaris and he was the first. Yes, I always forget about Shrike. You never ever see him.
No, but I genuinely think we'll get a box set. Possibly a new Orc unit. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's a bigger size. Boys would be really cool. I don't think we will. I think we'll get Gazgul and one new unit, and I think you'll get whichever Space Wolf character they decide on, and a new Primaris unit. That's what I think it'll be in the box.
I think it'll be some form of Primaris vehicle. I think most likely be bikes.
Yeah.
I think that's where I put the money on, because you've got the Impulsor now, you've got the Repulsor, and you've got the Executioner. So I think tank-based vehicles, Primaris are pretty good on now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at it being the speeder or the bikes.
Yeah.
But then it's a case of which character, and I genuinely don't know. Ragnar would be cool, but then like you've got other people, like you've got Njal Stormcaller, Ragnar Blackmane, you've got...
They've kind of set the precedent, really, that they could decide to do like they did with the Ultramarines, where they gave you Primaris Tiggy as well. So they could Primarisify more than one character.
Yeah, but then why not do that with Blue Angels? They're much bigger than the Space Wolves.
It's one of those things, though. I would have said Blood Angels are probably not more popular than Ultramarines, but everyone used to take the mick out of the Ultramarines, so I was quite surprised they got the love they did.
Yeah.
Because they were the least characterful, to my mind, apologies all Ultramarines lovers, of the chapters.
Absolutely.
They were fairly bland. And like you had the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, that were, and obviously the Space Wolves that were the meat and potato, really, and the sort of the cool stuff of the Astartes. But yeah, I really want Ragnar, but I'm concerned it's a generic.
Yeah, and if we keep going at the same pace that we're going at with these releases, there's one book every single month at the minute.
Yep.
Which means that Engine War is after that in April.
Yeah,
now,
which is,
I don't know about you, right? I am seriously actually looking forward to that. Like, I've got a soft spot for the AdMech. Even though I don't play them as much as I would like to, I do. There's something about them that I really, really like.
I love the models. I love the steampunk.
The new models, wow. The jump pack guys are phenomenal. The hound things, I'm not overly fussed on, but
I think you need to see those a bit better. It's the same we said before. I like the D-Day boats. I think when you see them in an army, it works.
Yeah.
When you see them as an individual model, they don't. But when you blend them and paint them in with the whole army,
like
I think
Tabletop Tactics' latest battle report, when Stig took 6 against Bourne, they looked phenomenal.
Yeah, I really like them. I genuinely like them, and I think it'll be the same with the other units.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to open up a whole new perspective of how to play AdMech, because it's almost like a rapid reaction.
Yeah,
they changed the gun line element of them to sort of
the problem with that
reaction.
is the problem with the AdMech is the infiltrators and the rust stalkers are terrible.
Yeah,
that's the issue. And then like the chickens are okay, but like not many people are going to go out and buy 6 chickens because they're like 30 quid a pop.
That's part of the problem.
But on that note, James, I have a little bit of inside information.
Do you?
I do. So I have heard that GWs have been advised not to order in any more AdMech codex.
Oh, really?
Indeed.
Please, God, don't let them get supplements like Space Marines.
No, please don't. They don't need it. They don't need it. But it kind of makes sense when you look at how many units are now not included in the Codex. So you've got the Manipulus to begin with, right? Which still isn't available by itself.
Really?
Yep, absolutely. The Kelemorph's only just become available to pre-order this weekend.
Where was the Admech Codex with releases first time around? Was that one of the
fifth? So you had Marines and Chaos Marines, you had Death Guard and Grey Knights, and then you had Admech and Guard.
Well, I was going to say Poro Grey Knights, but let's not. Yeah, so right, yeah, they are due.
But let's look at what models aren't in there. So the Manipulus isn't in there.
Yep.
The Daedalus guy from Blackstone Fortress is not in there.
Yep.
Both variants of the D-Day boat aren't in there.
True.
You're going to have 2 variations of the Flyer.
Yep.
You're going to have 2 variations of the Jump Pack guys.
Yep.
And 2 variations of the horses.
Yeah, so
that's 9 units.
It would be logical to do a Codex release at the same time.
Yeah. But then it's a case of, well, if they're doing an Admech Codex, what's in Psycho Awakening? Now...
It almost seems like there might be an Admech box set coming up rather than... because they could get the quantity of models.
I hope that there is a bit more synergy between Knights and Admech this time around. Don't get me wrong, Admech have access to some cool Knight stratagems.
Yep.
So you've got like Knights of the Cog, and you've got the one that gives the Knight Canticles, things like that. Really, really cool. But then you've also got the Demon and the Chaos Knight side of things. It's great that Chaos Knights are going to be getting something. It's nice that Knights are getting something. But I don't want them to do what they did when they released the Codex and go, 3 command points for a super heavy detachment. Or, actually, maybe that's not enough. Have 6 instead.
Yeah.
But then the problem with the Knights were that Castellan was just so broken. And I love the Valiant. I love the idea of the Valiant so much. Yeah. But it's not worth the points.
No. No one takes it.
And it's a shame.
Yeah. Do you know what? And it's going back to what we were talking about Fordra. Do you know what I really want to see? I really want to see Dark Mechanicus get the 40k rules.
Yes.
With the Knights.
I will cry if they give the 30k Admech the rules. I really will, because I sold mine.
I kind of want them to. No offense.
Not
to see you cry, but because I think I love like the 30k models. I think are beautiful. Like the I know it's not Dark Mechanicus, but for the Mechanicus, the Myrmidons.
Castellax.
Yeah, I love those models. And
Thalax as well. I love the Thalax.
Yes, and I think that'd be really cool. But I would like to see Dark Mechanicus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you use a Lord Discordant as like their Arch Mechanicus kind of guy.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, he fits in perfectly. And it's kind of when they started doing those sort of models like the Lord Discordant, I was wondering whether there was that was going to come.
Have you seen the I can't pronounce his first name, Arachnoscoria from Forge World?
No, I try not to look at the Forge World stuff to kind of afford it.
He's a dark mech. Tech Priest Dominus, and he's a Primarch killer.
Oh bloody hell! I'll have to go and look at that. Forge World are beautiful models, like always beautiful models.
His rules came out a long time ago, and he's so good. He could take down Horus. Bearing in mind you technically playing with 7th edition rules at this point.
Yeah,
but he could take down Horus.
Yes, that'd be so good.
So yeah, it would be nice. But what I hope to do for demons, right, is not force them into their specific god detachments, because that limits you so much. I mean, I don't know the lore behind demons, right? From my understanding is, for example, Khorne demons wouldn't align themselves with Slaanesh demons in the same army or fight for the same cause.
So they're not Zinch, because
but then it's chaos.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, totally see your point. I actually quite like the idea of you getting buffs if you were single god.
Which is fine, but the problem is demons as a whole can't do enough. You know, like, you don't have enough variety within one specific god to be able to assemble a decent army on the tabletop. If you build a Khorne army, right, you've got 3 shooting attacks.
Yeah.
You've got a skull cannon, the lash whip, and essentially a heavy flame of breath from the bloodthirster.
But the thing is about the demons, a lot of the time they worked. Obviously, yeah, you did. A lot of the demons would work together, but essentially they would work quite closely with or be brought into effect with a lot of the Chaos Marine chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually kind of like to see more of a buff if you Thousand Suns with Sense Demons get a buff. So that you may be able to sort of draw in and buff some of the weaker Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be cool to see a massive demon army, like a Pantheon.
I think the thing that works in EOS, right, and they've balanced it well with Khorne, not so much Slaanesh because they ended up putting all the depravity point costs up, but even with Tzeentch, it's not that bad. Summoning is free.
Yeah.
But the way that the armies work have specific mechanics where you have to achieve things to get enough points to then summon.
Yes.
So, for example, Blood Tithe points work exactly how they used to in the Khorne Demonkin Codex from 7th edition. For every unit you kill or every unit you lose, you gain 1 Blood Tithe point.
I think that would be a really good.
You then got an
mechanic.
extra buff, or you could summon a Bloodthirster. And it's the same in Sigmar. You know, you can say, right, everyone heals D3 on the battlefield, or for the same points, I'm going to go, oh, he's a Bloodthirster, or he's a unit with 20 Bloodletters. And
in an objective-based game, that's still really useful to be able to go, do you know what? Here's 15 Bloodletters on this objective that I now need to hold.
The important thing is not to make them too available, but they need to be free.
Yeah, well,
force the player to achieve or do something in order to get the points to be able to summon the units. Because demons alone just cannot hold up to most armies, let alone Space Marines.
No. And let's look at it. What are you going to give demons? Because you're not going to give them build your own demon, class, race, pantheon, etc.
I don't know. Sigmar kind of has that. It's not build your own, but it's multiple variations. Like, you've got different hosts for Slaanesh, and of course you've got your different cults for Tzeentch. There's 2 Khorne Demon ones. There is a couple of different Nurgle ones. It is there, so they might actually go, for example, 3 different chapters per se for each god. That's not. I think that's perfectly.
And that might give you some flexibility with those issues as well. There may be a way, and I would expect to see abilities to get bloodletters drop a lot closer.
Yeah.
And probably, or possibly, I should say, some form of negation of Overwatch or something along those lines to make it a bit easier for demons to get in.
Definitely.
I think it would be very interesting. I don't know really what I'm interested to see what they do with the Knight side of it, because they could very easily become quite OP again with too much of a tweak.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really hope they don't do that.
I think it's got to be very carefully done with them specifically, because I think the Chaos Knights are actually still fairly, because of their ability to blend in with the Chaos, and it boils down to that ability to soup. Chaos is a better souping choice currently for Chaos Knights than probably now, with all the different losing chapter traits and chapter tactics for the Marines. You don't really want to see. All right, now knights with scions. Now that might be an interesting combination. And knights with scions with admech. Now that might be some potentially powerful combos there.
Yeah.
And certainly when you get, well, depending how they do the next bit, whether you get the bonuses of bust with just saying pure admech, that might be quite interesting if they decide to keep that. Because obviously guard, they haven't really done that.
No.
They've left guard open, which I thought was quite interesting. Because I was kind of expecting maybe guard would get a tweak to say pure.
Yeah.
But kind of it fits in with the law that they wouldn't to a degree, because obviously the guard tend to sort of mesh in quite often with units of space marines. So you've still got the Death Watch option.
Yeah, for the minute.
As well, for the minute.
On the subject of Death Watch, and this will be the last topic that we cover, is what factions are actually left to be covered in Psychic Awakening. Now, we said that obviously Harlequins never got touched in, was it Blood of the Phoenix? Phoenix Rising?
Yes, Phoenix Rising.
So, because they didn't get touched there, and because Death Watch are essentially the only Space Marine chapter left, it would make sense to put the Harlequins against Death Watch.
Well, I heard something interesting that a few people have been talking about the potential for Harlequins to be involved with Custodes. Which would be an interesting twist on that. I agree. I think Death Watch would be the better option. But the Harlequins have been apparently potentially meddling about where they shouldn't, and the Custodes are getting involved there. So it actually may work in with, it may be Custodes, Harlequins, Death Watch, and somebody else. Necrons, possibly? Or do we know where Necrons are due to come in?
Still no idea. So we've got Necrons, we've got Death Guard, we've got Custodes, we've got Death Watch, and Harlequins. Is that everything? That would be everything, I think.
That would be everything, I think. See, I'm not convinced.
I don't think they'll get involved because they just had the Codex. So realistically, you've got 5 factions left. I think we'll have 2 more books, and this goes back to what I said before. I think we'll have 9 books total. Yeah,
right. It would make sense.
So
unless they throw sisters into one of the lost to bring it 3 and 3 in both books.
Now, everybody thought that Death Guard was going to be in the Greater Good because of the short stories that were released. Yes. However, one of the stories that they released on the Warhammer community page said that the Death Guard were attempting to steal Blackstone from the Admech, and I think it said Necrons. But obviously the Necrons were heavily involved with the whole Blackstone situation with the Admech. If you remember the Forgebane box set, that was the narrative of that box.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Death Guard come up against Necrons.
That'd be really interesting.
It's a very unusual combo, and I wouldn't have thought about it, but with that short story hinting that the Death Guard had been trying to steal Blackstone from the Admech and stuff, that's the only tie that I can see to it.
Mm.
And then, of course, with Death Watch and Custodes and Harlequins in the other book, I believe that rounds everything off.
That'd be interesting to do just two separate factions in one book. Just the 2.
Well, you got it with Blood of Baal.
That's true.
And I mean, technically, you also got it in Phoenix Rising.
Yeah. Yeah, because I suppose, well, Jakar, that's probably a bit Jakari a bit too. I like the fact they've sort of go back to that, but they sort of forced that sort of issue between the Craft Dwellers and the Jakari again. Which always should be, really. They're not friends.
No.
I just want a Harlequin to have some good stuff.
But then it's a case of, well, what do we get, right? So if we look at what Thousand Sons got, they basically got, I think it was 9 relics, warlord traits, and psychic powers, depending on what cult you were within. I'd be totally cool with the Death Guard getting that as well, because at the minute, it's the same 2 or 3 psychic powers. It's Miasma of Pestilence, and which Blades of Purification. They're the only two that people care about casting, and the only relic that you ever take is the separating plate. The only warlord trait you ever take is Archcontaminator.
Yeah, because the rest are pretty pants.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd be cool because Death Guard aren't necessarily in a terrible place. They're actually doing okay.
They're just better options.
They are.
There's better options for casters. You're going to take Thousand Suns.
They are, but
their resilience is amazing. Still,
I'd be quite happy with them just getting a small update like what the Thousand Suns got.
Yeah,
that's fine by me. But then obviously if it's Necrons, I don't know how much they could do for Necrons, and I think putting those two into just one book, there's not enough there. I don't think. I
worry that it's really funny because they seem to do so well with one faction, and then you just go, oh, what? Why? Did you even think about that? Like the latest one,
Gene Stealer Cult.
Yeah,
totally forgot.
It's like they would. Yeah, they just got some fluff. All right, there's a couple of decent stratagems. There's a couple of really strong.
Gene Stealer Cult do better out of the Greater Good book because of the guard stratagems.
Yeah, and then there is some good psychic abilities that you can chuck out now. There's a couple of extra things. There are some stronger stratagems, but they picked weird units for a lot of the stratagems. There's a good biker one that you quite.
No one takes bikers now because demo charges are 10 points each.
So maybe they might. There's a couple of ones to make them a little bit better, but yeah, overall, it's like
I laughed at the stratagem that was 1 CP. The heavy stubbers on a Ridge Runner get +1 to hit and wound. The heavy stubbers,
but you can take them, and it's still crap. But you can take Ridge Runners in units of 3, so that's 18 shots.
But you're moving, you're hitting on 5s.
Hey, I'm just looking at the silver lining. Just the tiny silver lining and that ability to check out a lot of shots. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird.
But then you look on the opposite side, right? So if you look at Custodians, I would like them to get maybe 3 different faction abilities, right? Shadow Keepers are incredibly popular. And Bryn, when he got the Custodians Codex, he was like, oh, there's no like unique abilities for just this like...
Yeah.
You know, this keep.
Yeah, so that seems like a logical choice if it's something to do for those.
And Death Watch as well. Now, I had an argument with Stephen, right, that different Watch Fortresses would fight in different methods, and each Watch Fortress is just as good as a different chapter of Space Marines.
Yeah.
Each Watch Fortress will fight completely differently based on their Watchmaster.
So you could do it. I wondered, though, whether they would do something as... the problem is it would probably pigeonhole them too much, but judging by what they've done with certain factions, they still may. Whether they would have, like, well, let's say Watchtowers would be almost Xenos-specific. So there would be one that was...
Is better particularly good against...
yeah. But it would... that would kind of lend itself almost to the Gene Stealer Cult. So things, well, okay, we fluffed you up a bit, but that's not really going to help you competitively.
No.
But so it would worry me slightly if they did that. I think the way you're phrasing it sounds better, where you would get different abilities or different bonuses in general. Like some are better at shooting, some are better at combat.
Yeah.
That would maybe some are better at psychic. Maybe there's some that use more librarians and chuck out more stuff. I don't know. They're going to be a really difficult one. I think it's going to be a very difficult one to even remotely predict what they're going to do. The problem
with the Death Watch is obviously they've got access to the stratagems of +1 to wound for each battlefield role. They've got a specific stratagem for each non-Imperium or Chaos faction except Gene Stealer Cult. They've then got reroll 1s to wound against, fast, heavy, elite, so forth. But then on top of that, they've also got special issue ammo. They're already incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you could add to that without making it broken. I mean, obviously, Bolt of Discipline made a big difference. Yeah. And then they went, no, if you Bolt of Discipline, you can't use special ammo. Fine, because it was broke to hell.
Yeah. Maybe there'd be a stratagem to be able to use that on a unit.
I just don't know. And then, of course, what are they going to do with Harlequins? I think Harlequins certainly deserve the create your own mask.
Definitely. If they put Harlequins in it, you'll get that. Judging by everything else, I can't see them not. It'll just be daft. I want the name generator, actually. I'm quite looking forward to that. But more decent relics, some better relics than they got, and just some tweaking stratagems. And just even if it's a stratagem to be able to, for 2 CP, your Troop Master allows a unit within 6 inches to reroll ones to hit in the shooting phase.
Make a Troop Master more of a master.
Yeah. For 1 CP, add -1 AP to your Death Jester in combat. It's just tweaks a bit. Buff up the Death Jesters a bit. Give them a couple of abilities to do a bit more. I think there's a lot of potential for Harlequins to have something interesting without it being stupid.
Yeah.
Deathwatch, I think, are the tricky ones. I think, like you say, it'll be very easy to ruin Deathwatch.
It's very, very easy to ruin them. But they need just a tiny bit more than what they've got.
I think with Deathwatch, well, they're a Marine for a start, so maybe they will just AP them out the field. But if they're sensible, it'll almost be like they go Gene Stealer Cult with Deathwatch. They just give them that sort of fluffy tweaks, but that still make them a little bit more interesting to use for certain instances. I think you'll probably see a couple more Xenos specific stratagems to help out in
an extra things. 1 or 2 per faction would be cool.
Yeah, and Gene Stealer Cult would be an obvious one to add in.
But they also need to add one, or at least the reroll ones to wound against dedicated transports, because that doesn't exist. If you come up against a Drukhari player, you're knackered. Yeah,
so just sit in your Venoms all day.
Yeah.
Well, although people are more taking Raiders now than Venoms because the volume of fire from Space Marines.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to go. You tend to go Raider spam unless you're willing to throw away lots of points in ITC with chucking multiple Venoms down that get shot to crap in about 2 seconds. But yeah, that's another story. I think Deathwatch would be a really, really tough one. Death Guard, I think you're right. I think they need just a couple of little tweaks like Thousand Suns got. I mean, saying that, Thousand Suns Supreme Command Attachment with the ability to add on points to cast, they are hard.
Yeah, I think it was the Cult of Magic where you can basically get +2 to cast now, and your Warlord trait lets you do an additional mortal wound on top of everything that you cast, and then you can cast an extra spell or something.
I think you get up to +3.
Then, well, if you're Araman, you can. I don't know exactly, but the Cult of Magic, it can be very, very broken.
And you can give Terminators a 2+ invuln.
Yeah, that's going to get FAQ'd.
I think it will. I went up against it with one of my mates with my Eldari army, and it was just horrific. Yeah, rapid firing Terminators into Eldari, and he rolled badly. Doesn't go well, and you just could. The unit, I think I killed like 3. I think I put my entire army into it, and I killed like 3 of them. It was ridiculous. I think you're right. That will be FAQ, just to a maximum of a 3-up. Also didn't help that he didn't fail any of his 3-ups either. But yeah, AdMech I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing the steampunk list there. Orcs, I think. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are lending ourselves potentially to an Orc Space Wolf box set.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you're right. I think Adepticon's going to be really cool because they're genuinely there's normally something really, really exciting. Do you think this year, question back, that we are likely to see another Primarch turn up?
Yes.
For good or for ill? Which do you think? Chaos or
I think we'll get another Chaos one. Because then that opens it up to go, oh no, Bobby G can't handle things anymore. Let's kill Dante and let him ascend.
That would be cool.
Oh, I wish he had, but based on the fluff in the new Mephisto novel, I don't think he will. I was hoping he would like merge with the Sanguinor and become like a Super Dante, but nah.
Super Dante.
No, but no. I think we'll get Fulgrim.
I was about to say I think Fulgrim is the most likely one. I don't think you get Angron.
I think eventually you will, but I think Fulgrim's the next one, and then I wouldn't be surprised at either the Lion or Russ.
I'd rather see Russ, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think Lion's been talked about. Wasn't there a rumour that it was supposed to be a Lion Fulgrim box set?
Ages ago. But yeah, we're going to leave it on that though, guys. Let us know what you think. Get in touch via the Facebook page, or of course leave your comments on the YouTube video. James, it's been fantastic as ever. Lots of speculation. Lots of ranting about the state of the game, which, do you know what? It's not great.
It's not the worst it's been. It's not.
No, it's not. And they are acknowledging it. They're making changes.
Yes, definitely.
That's the positive to take away from this.
Definitely. And it'll all get... I think after March, I think we're going to see some fairly large changes to the meta and what's happening. And I think there'll be some significant either points changes or rules changes that will hopefully level it out a little bit.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for listening, guys, and we will catch you in a month's time. Be sure to check out the rest of the podcasts, and of course, check out the Age of Sigmar podcast as well. But from me and James, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again very soon.
Bye-bye now.